The origins of splenius capitis are from the inferior half of the ligamentum nuchae and the spinous processes of C7 through T3. The insertions are to the mastoid process of the temporal bone and the superior nuchal line of the occipital bone. Acting bilaterally, the splenius capitis extends the head and neck. Acting unilaterally, it extends and laterally flexes and rotates the head and neck to the same side. It is innervated by the dorsal rami of the cervical spinal nerves. The semispinatus muscles form the first layer of the deep muscles of the back. There are three parts: semispinatus thoracis, semispinatus cervicis, and semispinatus capitis. The origins of the semispinatus capitis are from the tips of the transverse processes of T6 through C7 and the articular processes of C6 through C4. The insertion is to the occipital bone between the superior and inferior nuchal lines. Acting bilaterally, the semispinatus capitis extends the head and neck. Acting unilaterally, the semispinatus capitis rotates the head to the opposite side. It is innervated by the posterior rami of the cervical spinal nerves. The erectors spinae, the prime movers of back extension, consist of three superficial columns of muscle in the posterior neck and trunk. These are the iliocostalis, the longissimus, and the spinalis. The iliocostalis forms the lateral column, and like the others, it has three parts. These are iliocostalis lumborum, iliocostalis thoracis, and iliocostalis cervicis. From their origins, iliocostalis fibers run superiorly to insert onto parts of the vertebrae and ribs. The origins are from the sacrum, the spinous processes of vertebrae L5 through T11, the iliac crest, and from the angle of ribs 12 through 3. The insertions are to the angle of ribs 12 through 1, and the transverse processes of C7 through C4. Acting bilaterally, the iliocostalis extends the vertebral column and neck. Acting unilaterally, the iliocostalis thoracis laterally flexes the vertebral column to the same side. It is innervated by the dorsal rami of spinal nerves. The erectors spinae, the prime movers of back extension, consist of three superficial columns of muscle in the posterior neck and trunk. These are the iliocostalis, the longissimus, and the spinalis. The longissimus forms the middle column, and like the others, it has three parts. These are longissimus thoracis, longissimus cervicis, and longissimus capitis. From their origins, longissimus fibers run superiorly to insert onto parts of the vertebrae and skull. The origins are from the thoracolumbar fascia, the transverse processes of L4 through L1 and T5 through T1, as well as the articular processes of C7 through C4. The insertions are to the transverse processes of T12 through T1 and C6 through C2, to ribs 12 through 4 between the angle and the tubercle, and to the posterior margin of the mastoid process of the temporal bone. Acting bilaterally, the longissimus extends the vertebral column and neck. Acting unilaterally, it laterally flexes the vertebral column to the same side. In addition, the superior portion, the longissimus capitis, laterally flexes and rotates the neck to the same side. It is innervated by the dorsal rami of spinal nerves. The erectors spinae, the prime movers of back extension, consist of three superficial columns of muscle in the posterior neck and trunk. These are the iliocostalis, the longissimus, and the spinalis. The spinalis forms the medial-most column, and when most developed, it has 3 parts, as do the other muscles. These are spinalis thoracis, spinalis cervicis, and spinalis capitis. From their origins, spinalis fibers run superiorly to insert onto vertebrae, the ligamentum nuchae, and the skull. The spinalis thoracis is the least variable of the 3 parts, as well as the least blended with fibers of other muscles. Its origins are from the spinous processes of L2 through T11. The insertions, though somewhat inconstant, are to the spinous processes of the upper 4 to 8 thoracic vertebrae. The spinalis thoracis extends the vertebral column in the thoracic area. It is innervated by the dorsal rami of spinal nerves.